One of the questions that I'm asked often on this channel is what's the difference between the cheap and expensive paintballs, or what's the difference between like the entry level and the tournament level paintballs? I've often tried to answer that question, kind of tiptoed around doing it, but never like full on invested the time to make a dedicated video to talk about the differences. So what I did was go out to the paintball field and we got some cheap and expensive paintballs. I opted for Valken Infinity. It's very popular and is around that $40 price. Lots of paintball fields are using it in rental equipment, or it's just a common cheap and expensive paintball. For the high-end ball, also sticking with Valken, decided to go with the Valken Pro. The Pro sells for about $70, and we're typically seeing at, paintball tournaments, as it's in that higher-end tournament price range. So before we go to the paintball field and show both of these paints shooting, I want to kind of say that this isn't like a review of these, right? It's not a review of the Infinity. This isn't a review of the Pro. So it's not trying to say that the Infinity's way better than the Pro, or the Infinity's better than this brand or whatever. It's just to show the difference between that low end and that high end paintball. So one of the big advantages of buying that tournament style paintball is it's typically going to be a lot more brittle or a lot more fragile than the cheaper stuff. So you can see right here, I went into the field and tried to find something hard to throw these balls at, to kind of get them to break and show the fragileness difference. So you can see every time I throw this Pro stuff, it's kind of consistently breaking. Every once in a while we get one that like just pops off and kind of bounces off this little piece of granite, but that's just because it's not a flat surface and it kind of hits a corner and kind of ricochets. But you can definitely see that this Pro stuff is consistently more brittle. I'd like to also think that both of these are a little bit more brittle than this. Like for most of you guys that are going to be getting the Infinity or this Pro stuff, it's going to be a little bit more brittle, as it was 100 and something degrees this day, and as that temperature increases, the paint gets a little bit more soft, a little bit more gooey. So no matter what it is, whether it's that Infinity or the Pro, in this very hot weather that I have to play paintball in, the paint's gonna be a little bit more hard. But you can still see the difference between the Infinity and that Pro. And we do want the fragility, right? You want the stuff to be really fragile so that when you're shooting people, it doesn't bounce off them, it actually breaks on what you're shooting at. And when it breaks on people, you want it to be able to mark, so that higher end stuff is gonna have a thicker and brighter fill. So you can see as I'm shooting at this hyperball tube, every once in a while I'll shoot like a Pro one, then that Infinity. And you can definitely see that Pro ball has a much brighter, vibrant fill and is considerably thicker. You can see this Infinity actually starts to run down that tube. So you think if you shoot someone in the hopper from kind of far away, you might not be able to see it because it's not as bright. So having that brighter fill of the Valken Pro just makes it easier for you to spot people when you shoot them, but maybe more importantly, the referees can spot that paint a little bit easier just because it's so much brighter and thicker. And definitely the most important part about how a paintball is performing is how accurate it is. So to be able to test accuracy of the Infinity and the Valken Pro, I kind of set up 3 different targets. I set up a target at about 15 yards away, then put one at the 50, which was about 32 yards away, and then one almost in the back corner at about 52 yards away. So to try to reduce the variables and try to show the differences as accurate as possible, I used the Planet Eclipse Emek, the Field One Acculock barrel with the 687 insert, and the Infinity and the Pro fit flawlessly in the 687. And the gun was chronographed to 285 feet per second. So really what I did was take 30 Infinity and 30 Pro and just kind of shot them at the pole and then just decided which one was more accurate. Right here you can see that this 15-yard one, it's pretty simple to hit whether I'm shooting that Infinity or the Valken Pro. You can pretty much hit it every time. You can actually kind of see how harder this Infinity is, as a couple times I think I actually bounced this pole up close like this. It's just hitting right on the edge and, skimming off at like the perfect angle. And then we set it up at about 30 yards to that center 50 and just went for it. And you can see that the Infinity is still shooting pretty straight, but definitely the Pro, to me, shooting it for sure, is noticeably straighter. And when we go to 50-ish yards, or that 50 paces, it's very far away, and hitting stuff at this distance, whether it's got, the Infinity or you're using that Pro, is just difficult. But because of that higher end ball of that Pro, it's definitely easier to hit at this distance. I maybe hit it a few times with the Pro, and I think missed probably every time with the Infinity. So why is this Pro more accurate? There's really 2 main reasons that the Valken Pro is going to be more accurate than Infinity. The Pro should be more round, So it's just more consistent, right? So the more round the ball is, the more consistent it fits in the barrel. So you're getting a very snug, consistent fit every single time. Helps the velocity be very consistent. And when the velocity is very consistent, the ball goes the same distance every time. And it just helps gauging how far it's gonna go easier. So when you're shooting it, you know exactly how far it's gonna go. So it just helps you aiming and it helps accuracy a little bit. And then the distance, holding true at distance is really a weight thing. Having that pro ball weigh a little bit more helps it be a little bit more stable in the air, and technically the added weight makes it shoot a little bit farther. And I say it weighs more, it's like minuscule, right? It's not a huge difference. I mean, we're talking like percentages different. It's not like 15 or 20% more weight. It's very slight. And this was the average weight of that Valken Pro and then the average weight of the Infinity. And you can see it's small, but that extra added weight of that heavier fill and maybe little extra fill in the ball just kind of makes it shoot a little straighter. So those are the difference between the cheap and the expensive paintballs. You're getting better accuracy, you're getting better markability, and it's a little bit more brittle. If you guys have any more paintball questions, definitely leave a comment below. Sometimes I answer them, but sometimes you guys are crazy and I just ignore the comments for a while, so I don't know.